Alright gang, this Hexa here. So, I just got through playing the first turn of this famous division's Grossdeutschland Panzer, the Battle of Kursk. And I wrote a few little notes on the board here. Didn't write everything, but just to remind me of a couple things. And I'm going to tell you, so I've got two games on the table right now. I've got a BCS game, which y'all know I'm loving that. Now I have a second game on the table that I'm really enjoying the mechanics of. Okay, because you really just can't jump in and send an infantry attack out without thinking about what kind of support the defender's going to get, what kind of fortifications or terrain they're in. Do you have any artillery that you can throw into it? Whether you want to try to conduct an overrun with an armor unit. The good thing about overrunning, even though you do it as a normal attack, you can't. No artillery can be included in it from either side. So, but you really got to think about them when they're going to use them. And then, of course, the unit can continue moving afterwards. Now, if anybody knows this, help me with a little clarification on this, because it doesn't say it says in the rule book that overrun is an offensive movement, which tells me you do it on the move. But then it says friendly units can attack beforehand. Well, regular attacks can't be done. Normal attacks can't be done until after movement. So I'm a little lost in that one. So the way I'm playing it is the tracked units can move in there adjacent to their target, and then when you do the combat at the end of the movement, you do your overrun, and if they had any movement points remaining, then you can continue to do their move. And then if they move adjacent to another enemy unit, they have to stop. That's my take on this. So if somebody knows any better, let me know. All right, let's take a look at, let's go up top here. So it's chit draw, and you can see all the chits up top there. Still trying to do this with this one camera. So you can see all the chits up top in the pile up yonder there, okay? Went through all of those. Alright, and the Germans start with the first one. They kind of get like an initiative chit pull of their own. So I started with the engineer formation up yonder. And that's where I made a bunch of little marks. Let me back it up just a tiny bit. Okay. So I made a bunch of marks up there, and here's how this went down. So I thought maybe I was going to overrun with those tanks, okay? I had to modify my setup a little because I needed to get everybody across that river there. So I moved up in here with all this infantry because I'm going to attack that hex, and then I moved the armor up in here thinking I might try to overrun, but that, of course, that was going to be stupid. And then I moved this tank destroyer unit, these Panzer units out here. And when I got to this hex, this unit, well, he wasn't here yet. He was sitting back here in town. So he moved up and he fired around into this unit here, and he didn't do it. He had no effect on him, okay? And the process for that is you roll 2 dice for direct fire, and then you count the range in hexes. So it was 1, 2, 3. Both dice that you roll have to be equal to or greater than that range. Or is it's greater than that? I have to look that one up. It's either equal to, I think it had to be equal to or greater. So if one dice is a 2 and the other one's a 6, you missed. Alright? If both dices were 3 or better, then that's a hit. Then you use the same dice that you just rolled, which let's say I rolled 2 3s, that was 6. Then you take that 6 and you count the range, 1, 2, 3, and the defense factor of the unit. Let's say the defense factor is 4, so that would be a 7. Your 6 is less than the 7, so the unit didn't suffer a hit. He ends up just getting pinned. So there's your direct fire, and it's pretty cool. The only thing that I don't like about it is the rules don't say anything about, well, you know what? If I shoot direct fire at a unit inside trenches, you would think that they would get a die roll bonus for being in those trenches. So I could say that if I'm shooting direct fire at a unit in a trench, so maybe you get the hit because of the range thing, but then I would think that you would go down here to, let's see if I can zoom in on it here without breaking this tripod I'm on. I'm going to end up going back to my phone. But you see this trench thing here says +2? Well, you don't want to plus the die roll in favor of the defender. You would want to minus the die roll. And you figure you would want to minus the hit die roll of the direct firing unit. But that's not in the rules, and I think that might be something that's missing. that should be, because certainly terrain or fortification is going to give you a benefit. Alright, so anyhow, that Panzer unit didn't do any damage. And then when and then we did the attack up here at the end of the turn, which ended up causing damage to the attacker because it was a terrible attack. But I needed to do one to see how it worked. And what I did was I added artillery from here, but then the Russians countered with artillery, and then 2 red chits got drawn. 2 red chits got drawn from the Russians and or from the defender and the attacker. All right, those 2 red chits got drawn. So that means it's going to be a -5. Well, the Germans had to play one of their black chits to counter this thing here. So it ended up being a -2, and they ended up like rolling some terrible, terrible number, which caused them to take depletion or take casualties. Thank God I calculated it wrong the first time, and I went back, because it would have wiped out 2 whole steps, and instead it wiped out just 1 step. So then eventually the Russians got their turn. Okay, I'm a little tired tonight. Can't you see I'm breathing hard? And when the first rifle got theirs, they moved this anti-tank unit. Now here's a cool deal about direct fire. You can move and then fire. Kind of like a lot of tactical games. So he moved up into here, into this orchard. And when he got there, that Panzer unit fired at him. He missed. That's called opportunity fire. Movement creates opportunity fire as long as it's within the range. If he'd have moved 1 more hex, that Panzer could have fired at him again. Alright, so he didn't hit, but he turns around and shoots at him, and he hits him. And causes a step reduction. Alright? So that's how direct fire works. Later on, the Russians got their artillery formation here, got their chit pulled. They moved up here. You can artillery barrage. They can move and then fire. So I fired 1 gun at the Panzer. He missed. I fired 2, or no, he missed, but he got a pin result, I think, is what it was. I fired both of these into that stack of infantry or engineers right there, and ended up getting a hit on one of the engineer units. All right, and overall, if you look up top there, all right, those 2 solo units sitting way up there by themselves. Yeah, this isn't going to work with this camera. They got destroyed, and that freaking tank unit got destroyed. And the tank unit got destroyed. Where was that fight at? Oh, right here. Zoom out a little bit. Come down. Right there. This thing, man, I really got to work on this tripod thing. So they went into, they were going into sitting now. They took out where that 512 on the top is sitting. That infantry unit that was up there, he was sitting there. They took him out with direct fire and then an attack as he was sitting in the clear. And then these guys moved in here, and these guys moved in here, and I was going to attack right there with that whole stack, but man, I couldn't even get good odds out of that. So I had to pass on that. All right, so down in the south here, I guess it's the south, this artillery sitting behind that hill, it did some shooting, did a little bit of damage on some stuff, but these units down here, this armor unit down here they have a Panther headquarters, the Mach 5s, and the rest I think are 4Hs. They started to move in here to put some fire on these guys. This AT unit was sitting back here, and I think these are Su-85s, yeah. He was sitting back here, he couldn't shoot. And these guys here, I think, are just straight infantry. So let me see. Yeah, no, they're recon vehicles. They have no range on them, no direct fire range. So I pulled all the armor up in here and took shots at these guys. I didn't do any damage. Then when the Soviets AT formation drew, this unit moved up, and the Panther, when he moved into range, the Panther shot at him and caused a step of damage. And then he fired back, and he didn't create any damage, okay? And then eventually the artillery formation down here, all the ones these say fired, after these guys fire, you flip them over. They fired a bunch of rounds in here and they didn't hit nothing, okay? I think this Soviet artillery sitting in the back here, behind the hill, I think they all shot into here and they didn't hit nothing, alright? So, and that pretty much ended the first turn, the morning turn of July 10th. And let me tell you something. This is interesting. This is not, I mean, I don't know, those of you guys out there that play these tactical games, squad leaders or stuff like that, lock and load, I don't know how those mechanics work. I'm sure they've all got fire like that and everything else. But I think for a game that is, this has got to be operational, the Battle of Kursk. This has some very nice mechanics to it. And then you got your fog of war for movement, or chit draw. And then I only had to draw two random event chits, and I used one black one from the Germans to counter something. But very, very interesting concepts to this game. Pin markers, when a unit gets pinned, if they've already been activated and you get pinned, as soon as whatever phase is over, that who's ever moving or doing, like if an attacking, these units are moving and they get opportunity fire and they get pinned, as soon as they're done with their activation, you go on to the next and just pull the pin marker off, because they'll only give you a handful of pin markers. And I thought to myself, well, that's kind of a ripoff. But then I realized, well, you don't need them after their phase is done. So, and pin units can fire, they just can't attack. They can't attack or move. So once you get pinned, if you're moving and you get pinned by opportunity fire, you stop your movement. But you can still fire. Alright, Kursk, famous divisions, Grossdeutschland Panzer, finished the morning turn of July 10th. And this is enjoyable so far. Let's get this up so you all can see this and let me know what you think. Deal, post those comments below. Hey, hit subscribe, hit that bell. Tell you anybody else might be interested in these type of games, get on over here and subscribe to the channel so they can keep up to date. All right, sexy. We'll talk to y'all soon.